Stop! Put down your suitcase! Right now! 1 in 3 first-time flyers gets pulled aside at TSA security for this one mistake, and it's completely avoidable. The TSA 311 liquid rule: if you don't know it, you'll be that person, red-faced. Unpacking your entire bag in front of a line of impatient travelers while a TSA agent confiscates your expensive toiletries. I've seen grown adults nearly miss their flights over a full-size shampoo bottle. Here's exactly what you can bring, how to pack it in under 60 seconds, and the one loophole most travelers don't know about, so you breeze through security like a pro. Picture this. You're standing at airport security for the first time, excited about your trip, when a TSA agent pulls out your carefully packed toiletry bag. One by one, they start removing items. Your favorite designer perfume that cost you $100? Gone. That expensive face serum you just bought? That gets tossed too. And how about your full-size sunscreen? That goes in the trash. Within 60 seconds, you've just watched $300 worth of products disappear into a bin, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. This nightmare scenario happens to thousands of travelers every single day at airports across America. The TSA confiscates somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 items daily, and the majority of them are liquids that people either didn't know about or thought they could slip through. Here's the thing though, almost every single one of these confiscations could have been avoided if the traveler had understood just a few simple rules. The infamous 311 rule sounds like some kind of secret code, and honestly, the way most people explain it makes it even more confusing. You've probably heard bits and pieces. Something about ounces, something about a bag, something about containers. But nobody ever breaks it down in a way that actually makes sense, especially if you've never flown before. And that confusion costs people money, causes stress, and creates those awkward moments at security where everyone behind you is sighing because you're holding up the line. But here's what nobody tells you. Once you actually understand the logic behind these rules, they're ridiculously simple. You'll wonder why everyone makes such a big deal about it. By the time you finish watching this, you're going to know exactly what to pack, how to pack it, and how to breeze through security like you've been doing this your whole life. You'll know the loopholes that can save you money, the exemptions that most travelers don't realize exist, and the rookie mistakes that get people caught every single time. The TSA liquid rules aren't designed to ruin your trip. They exist for a specific reason that most people don't even know about. And understanding that reason actually makes the whole thing click into place. So let's start from the beginning and break down everything you need to know, including the stuff that seasoned travelers wish someone had told them before their first flight. Back in August of 2006, British intelligence uncovered a terrifying plot. A group was planning to smuggle liquid explosives onto planes and drink bottles, planning to detonate them mid-flight over the Atlantic. The plot was stopped, but it changed airport security forever. Within days, airports around the world banned liquids entirely. Passengers couldn't bring anything. Not water, not shampoo, nothing. The total ban created chaos. Airports were throwing away millions of items daily, travelers were furious, and the whole system was unsustainable. So security experts and scientists got to work figuring out the minimum amount of liquid that could pose a genuine threat. They ran tests, did calculations, and eventually landed on a specific number: 3.4 ounces, or 100 milliliters in most other countries. That amount, they determined, was small enough that even if someone had malicious intent, it wouldn't be enough to cause catastrophic damage. That's where the first 3 in 311 comes from. It's not arbitrary, it's based on actual threat assessment science. But here's where things get interesting. The rule isn't perfect, and TSA agents are the first to admit it. The screening technology at different airports varies wildly. Some airports have newer CT scanners that can detect threats in larger liquid quantities, while others are still using equipment from the early 2000s. This is why you might hear stories about someone bringing a full-size bottle through security at one airport, but getting stopped at another. TSA agents have one of the most stressful jobs in the airport. They're scanning hundreds of bags per hour, dealing with frustrated travelers, and trying to enforce rules that even they admit can be confusing. They're trained to look for specific things, but they're also human. Sometimes they'll let something slide that technically breaks the rules. Other times they'll be strict about enforcement because their supervisor is watching, or because there's been a recent security concern. This inconsistency frustrates travelers, but it's the reality of a system that's trying to balance security with convenience. The 311 rule has been in place for nearly 2 decades now, and there's constant debate about whether it's still necessary. In 2024, the TSA started testing new computed tomography scanners at select airports. These machines can create 3-dimensional images of bag contents, theoretically making the liquid restriction obsolete. Some international airports have already dropped their liquid limits thanks to this technology. But here's the reality check. Rolling out these scanners to every checkpoint in America would cost billions of dollars and take years, possibly decades. So despite the testing and the headlines about potential changes, you need to follow the 311 rule for the foreseeable future. Understanding why the rule exists makes it easier to remember and follow. This isn't the TSA trying to inconvenience you or make money off confiscated items. Despite what conspiracy theorists claim, it's a response to a real threat that could have resulted in thousands of deaths. And once you understand the actual limits and how to work within them, you'll realize it's not nearly as restrictive as it first seems. This is where most first-time flyers get caught. They understand the basics about shampoo and water bottles, but then they're shocked when TSA confiscates something they never considered a liquid. The official TSA definition is broader than you think, and it includes a lot of items that don't look or feel like traditional liquids. The obvious ones are easy: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, mouthwash, perfume, cologne. These are clearly liquids, and most people know they need to follow the rules for these items. But the TSA definition extends to anything that can be poured, pumped, spread, sprayed, or squeezed. That opens up a whole world of items that catch people off guard. Toothpaste is one of the biggest gotchas. It comes in a tube, it's paste-like, but the TSA classifies it as a liquid. Same with hair gel, shaving cream, and any kind of cream or lotion. Even if it's thick and doesn't flow easily, if you can squeeze it out of a container, it counts. Mascara is another one that surprises people. It's a liquid, so is liquid eyeliner, foundation, concealer, and lip gloss. Basically, if your makeup has a liquid or creamy consistency, it needs to go in your quart bag. Then there are the truly surprising ones. Peanut butter counts as a liquid according to TSA rules. So does Nutella jam and any other spreadable food. Canned goods with liquid content, like soup or beans, are considered liquids. Snow globes, which seem like solid decorative items, fall under liquid rules because of the water inside. Even some seemingly solid items, like certain cheeses or pâté, can be classified as liquids if they're soft enough to spread. Recent years have added new confusion to the mix. THC products, which are now legal in many states, follow liquid rules if they're in liquid or gel form. Vape juice definitely counts as a liquid, though the vape device itself doesn't. CBD oils, tinctures, and similar products all fall under the 311 rule. This catches a lot of travelers who assumed these products would be treated differently. Here's a rule of thumb that actually works. Hold the item and imagine tipping it upside down or squeezing the container. Would anything come out? Would anything drip, ooze, or flow? If the answer is yes, it's a liquid in the eyes of the TSA. This mental test will save you from most surprises at security. But there's good news too. Not everything that seems like it might be a liquid actually counts. Powder makeup is completely fine. Eyeshadow, blush, and powder foundation don't fall under liquid rules, even though they're in your makeup bag. Solid deodorant is exempt. Bar soap is fine. Solid chocolate is fine, though it might melt and make a mess in your bag. Lipstick is considered a solid, even though lip gloss is a liquid. The difference, if you can spread or squeeze it, it's a liquid. If it's in a solid stick form, you're good. The confusion around what counts as a liquid leads to some wild moments at security. TSA Instagram accounts regularly post photos of bizarre items people try to bring through. Full jars of salsa, giant bottles of hot sauce, even entire bottles of maple syrup. One traveler tried to bring a snow globe the size of a basketball. Another attempted to carry through a full-size lava lamp. These items all violate the liquid rules, and no amount of arguing changes that. Understanding this broad definition is crucial because it affects how you pack. You can't just think about your toiletry bag. You need to consider your makeup, your snacks, and anything else in your carry-on that might fall into this category. And if you're unsure about a specific item, the TSA has an app and a website where you can search for items and get official guidance. When in doubt, check before you pack. Let's break down the 311 rule piece by piece, because this is where the confusion really happens. Each number represents a different restriction, and you need to follow all three to get through security without issues. The first three refers to 3.4 ounces or 100 milliliters per container. This is the maximum size container you can bring for any liquid item. Notice the word container. This is the critical detail that trips people up constantly. The rule is about the container size, not about how much liquid is actually in the container. You can't bring an 8-ounce bottle that's only 1/4 full and claim it only contains 2 ounces of liquid. TSA doesn't care. They look at what the container can hold, not what it currently holds. This means you need travel-size containers. You can buy them at any drugstore, usually in the travel section. They come in sizes like 2 ounces, 3 ounces, and 3.4 ounces. You can also find reusable silicone travel bottles that you can refill for multiple trips. The key is making sure the container itself is marked as 3.4 ounces or less. If you have a full-size bottle and pour some out, that doesn't magically make it compliant. The bottle still says 8 ounces on the label, and that's what TSA sees. The first one refers to 1 quart-size bag. All of your liquid containers must fit inside a single clear plastic bag that's approximately 1 quart in volume. In practical terms, that's usually about 7 inches by 8 inches, though the exact dimensions can vary slightly. The bag must be clear so TSA agents can see the contents without opening it. This speeds up the screening process and helps them identify potential issues quickly. A standard Ziploc quart-size bag works perfectly for this. You can also buy bags specifically marketed as TSA approved, which are sometimes sturdier or have better seals, but they're not required. Some high-end travel stores sell fancy toiletry bags with multiple compartments, but unless they meet the size requirements and are clear, they won't work for your liquid items. The point of the clear bag requirement is transparency. TSA needs to see what you're bringing without having to dig through your stuff. How many items fit in a quart bag? Typically somewhere between 9 and 12 travel-size containers, depending on their exact sizes and shapes. This is usually enough for a weekend trip or even a longer journey if you're strategic about what you bring, but it does require some planning and prioritization. You can't bring your entire bathroom cabinet in travel-size form. You need to pick your essentials. The second one means 1 bag per passenger. You can't split your liquids across multiple bags. You can't have 1 bag for toiletries and another for makeup. It's 1 quart bag total, and everything has to fit inside it. This is where some travelers get creative and try to bend the rules, but TSA has seen every trick. Trying to sneak a second bag through by putting it in a different pocket or giving it to your travel companion doesn't work. If you're caught, you'll have to consolidate or throw items away. However, there's a family loophole that some people don't realize. If you're traveling with kids, each person in your family gets their own quart bag, even small children, so a family of 4 could technically have 4 quart bags worth of liquids. Some parents use their children's allotted bags for extra family items if the kids don't need their full allowance. This is technically allowed, though you need to be prepared to explain the situation if questioned. Here's the mistake that costs people the most money. They pack a container that's technically too large, but assume it'll be fine because it's not full. Or because it's close enough to 3.4 ounces, TSA doesn't round down. A 4-ounce bottle is over the limit, even if it's only half full. That expensive face serum in a 5-ounce bottle getting confiscated regardless of how much product is actually inside. The rules are strict, and agents don't have discretion to make exceptions based on how close you are to the limit. Another common mistake is assuming the bag doesn't matter as long as the containers are the right size. The bag matters. If your liquids aren't in a clear quart-sized bag, you'll be asked to transfer them at the checkpoint, which holds up the line and creates stress. Some travelers use gallon-sized bags, thinking bigger is better, but that's also incorrect. It needs to be quart-sized specifically. The 311 rule seems restrictive until you actually pack for a trip. For most people, a quart bag is enough to bring everything essential: travel-size shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, face wash, moisturizer, deodorant, and a few makeup items all fit comfortably. The key is choosing what you truly need versus what's nice to have. And remember, you can always buy full-size products at your destination if needed. Here's where things get interesting. The 311 rule sounds absolute, but there are actually several important exemptions that most first-time travelers don't know about. Understanding these exemptions can save you money and hassle, especially if you have specific needs. Prescription medications are completely exempt from the liquid rule. You can bring however much you need for your trip in your carry-on, and the 3.4-ounce limit doesn't apply. This includes liquid medications, gels, and creams. However, there are some best practices to follow. Keep medications in their original prescription bottles with your name on them. This makes verification easier if TSA wants to inspect them. You should also declare your medications to the TSA officer at the beginning of the screening process, especially if you have large quantities or anything that might look unusual on the X-ray. Over-the-counter liquid medications follow the same rules as other liquids. So that bottle of cough syrup or liquid pain reliever needs to fit in your quart bag unless you have a prescription for it. But prescription items are genuinely exempt, which is crucial for people who need daily medications or have chronic conditions requiring liquid treatments. Contact lens solution gets special treatment. You can bring bottles larger than 3.4 ounces, but they must be declared to TSA officers and will undergo additional screening. TSA might test the liquid or examine it more closely, which adds a minute or two to your screening time, but you won't have to throw it away. This exemption exists because contact lens wearers genuinely need larger quantities, especially on longer trips, and the small travel sizes don't cut it. Baby formula, breast milk, and juice for infants are completely exempt from the 311 rule. You can bring reasonable quantities, which TSA defines as enough for the flight and a bit extra for delays. You don't need to have your baby with you at the checkpoint for this exemption to apply, which is helpful if you're pumping and traveling without your child. These items must be declared at the beginning of screening, and TSA may need to test them, but they will never be confiscated. Ice packs, gel packs, and frozen items present an interesting gray area. If they're completely frozen solid when you go through security, they're even partially melted in slushy, they count as liquids and fall under the 311 rule. This is relevant for people traveling with medical items that need to stay cold, or for parents bringing frozen food for babies. The trick is making sure they're completely solid when you reach the checkpoint. Here's an exemption that blows people's minds. Anything purchased after you pass through security is allowed on the plane, regardless of size. This is why you see people boarding with giant bottles of water or full-size duty-free liquor bottles. Once you're past the checkpoint, the liquid restrictions no longer apply because you're already in the secure area of the airport. This creates a smart strategy for travelers. Instead of packing a quart bag full of items, you can bring the bare minimum essentials and buy anything else you need after security. Duty-free liquids come with their own special rules. If you buy liquids at a duty-free shop, they'll typically put them in a special sealed bag with your receipt visible. This bag needs to stay sealed until you reach your final destination. If you have a connecting flight, don't open the bag, because you'll have to go through security again and the liquid restrictions will apply. Some international travelers get caught by this, thinking they can access their duty-free items mid-trip. Medical devices and supplies also receive exemptions. Things like insulin pumps, nebulizers, or other equipment don't count toward your liquid limits. If you need to bring associated liquids for these devices, they're typically exempt as well. The key is declaring everything up front and being prepared to explain what the items are and why you need them. Religious or ceremonial liquids can sometimes be exempt, though this varies and requires advanced coordination with TSA. If you're traveling with holy water or other religious items, contact TSA ahead of time to understand your options. They're generally accommodating, but need advance notice to handle these situations properly. The most important thing about exemptions is communication. Don't try to hide exempt items in your bag hoping TSA won't notice. Declare them at the start of screening. Before your bag goes through the X-ray, TSA agents can't give you an exemption if they don't know you need one. Be polite, explain clearly what you have and why it's exempt, and be patient if they need to do additional screening. This approach gets you through security faster and with far less stress. Let's talk about the mistakes that happen constantly at airport security. Even people who think they understand the rules end up making these errors, and they're almost always avoidable with a bit of knowledge. The makeup trap catches more first-time flyers than almost anything else. People remember to pack their shampoo and toothpaste in their quart bag, then completely forget about their makeup bag. Foundation, concealer, mascara, liquid eyeliner, and lip gloss all count as liquids. When you add up all your makeup, you might discover you're trying to bring way more than will fit in a quart bag. This forces you into an uncomfortable position at security. Either you consolidate and throw away expensive products, or you miss your flight trying to reorganize, the solution is planning ahead. Before you pack, lay out every liquid item you want to bring, including makeup. See if it all fits in the quart bag. If it doesn't, you need to make choices. Can you switch to powder foundation instead of liquid? Can you bring a smaller mascara? Can you buy some items after security or at your destination? These decisions are much easier to make at home than at the security checkpoint with a line of impatient travelers behind you. The "it's almost empty" fallacy trips people up constantly. They have a 4-ounce moisturizer that's nearly empty, maybe just a week's worth of product left in the bottle. They assume TSA will see it's almost empty and let it through. Wrong. TSA looks at container size, period. That bottle says 4 ounces, so it's over the limit. It doesn't matter if there's only a tiny bit of product left. This catches people off guard because it seems like common sense that an almost empty bottle shouldn't be treated the same as a full one, but the rules don't work that way. If you have products in larger containers and don't want to buy new travel sizes, transfer them to smaller containers at home. Clean out old travel bottles and refill them. Use small jars or tubes you already have. Just make sure the container itself is 3.4 ounces or smaller, and ideally it's labeled so you can prove the size if questioned. Packing mistakes slow down security and create unnecessary stress. The most common one is burying your quart bag deep in your carry-on luggage. When you reach the checkpoint, you'll need to remove the bag and place it in a separate bin for X-ray screening. If it's buried under clothes, electronics, and other items, you're digging through your bag at the conveyor belt while everyone waits. Pack your quart bag on top of your luggage or in an easily accessible outer pocket. Some travelers even carry it separately until after security, then pack it away. Another packing mistake is not sealing your quart bag properly. If the bag isn't sealed, items can fall out during screening, or liquids can leak and contaminate your other belongings. Use a bag with a good seal, like a quality Ziploc bag, and make sure it's fully closed before you pack it. Some travelers use reusable TSA-approved bags with better seals that hold up through multiple trips. People also mess up by trying to be clever and circumvent the rules. They'll pack liquid items throughout their carry-on, figuring TSA won't notice if the bottles aren't all together. This never works. The X-ray machines detect liquids easily, and TSA agents are trained to spot this exact tactic. You'll get pulled aside for additional screening, your entire bag will be hand-searched, and you'll likely miss your flight or face penalties. It's not worth it. Just follow the rules. The "I've done this before" trap catches experienced travelers who haven't flown in a while. Maybe 5 years ago, they got away with bringing a larger bottle, or maybe a particular airport was lax about enforcement. They assume it'll be the same now, but security protocols change and enforcement varies by airport and even by time of day. What worked before might not work now, and what worked at one airport might not work at another. Don't rely on past experiences. Assume every flight requires strict compliance. Regional and international airport differences create confusion too. Some international airports have different size limits or rules. When you're connecting through different countries, you might face varying requirements. The safest approach is to follow the most restrictive rules for your entire journey. If you're flying from the US to Europe with a connection, follow the 311 rule throughout. Don't assume that once you leave US airports, the rules relax. Items people try to sneak through border on the ridiculous. TSA has seen it all. Full-size whiskey bottles wrapped in clothes, shampoo bottles tucked into shoes, liquids transferred to opaque containers hoping TSA won't realize they're liquids. None of these tactics work. The X-ray machines are sophisticated, and even if something gets through one checkpoint, it'll likely get caught at another. Plus, if you're caught intentionally trying to circumvent security rules, you could face fines or even criminal charges depending on the circumstances. The smart approach is simple. Follow the rules exactly as written, pack thoughtfully, and prepare your bag for easy screening. It takes an extra 10 minutes at home, but saves you potentially hours of headaches at the airport. And it prevents that sinking feeling of watching your expensive products disappear into a TSA trash bin. Now, let's get into the strategies that frequent travelers use to make the liquid rules work in their favor. These aren't about breaking rules or finding loopholes. They're about being smart and efficient with the restrictions you're working within. Solid product alternatives are a game changer. Instead of liquid shampoo and conditioner, try shampoo bars. They look like soap bars, but are specifically formulated for hair. They work surprisingly well, last for dozens of washes, and don't count as liquids. Same with conditioner bars. You can find these at natural stores or online. And while they take a day or two to get used to, most people end up preferring them for travel. Solid deodorant instead of gel or spray saves space in your quart bag for other items. Bar soap instead of body wash is another easy switch. Some companies even make toothpaste tablets. These little pills you chew that foam up when you add water, and they don't count as liquids. Powder dry shampoo is exempt from liquid rules and takes up minimal space. These solid alternatives free up valuable room in your quart bag for the products that don't have solid versions. For makeup, consider powder formulations when possible. Powder foundation, powder blush, and powder bronzer don't count as liquids. If you typically use liquid foundation, try a powder version for travel. Many makeup brands make travel-friendly powder compacts that work great. Keep your liquid makeup items to the absolute essentials, like mascara that doesn't have a decent powder alternative. The post-security shopping strategy is brilliant if you're willing to spend a bit more. Bring the bare minimum in your quart bag, just enough to freshen up during the flight or handle immediate needs when you land. Then, after passing through security, buy a large bottle of water, any toiletries you'll need at your destination, or even full-size products if you're staying somewhere for a while. Yes, airport prices are higher, but if you're only buying a few items, the markup is often less than the cost of the products TSA would confiscate. Plus, you avoid the hassle entirely. For longer trips, or if you're staying at a hotel, call ahead and ask what amenities they provide. Many hotels offer shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and lotion. If they provide these items, you don't need to pack them at all. Some hotels will even send you extra upon request. This strategy works especially well for business travel when you're not trying to maintain specific product routines. Buying products at your destination is often cheaper than you think. If you're traveling within the US, prices at a Target or drugstore near your hotel are probably lower than what you'd pay for travel-size versions at home. For international travel, this depends on the country, but many destinations have affordable pharmacies or convenience stores. Build in a quick shopping stop after you arrive, and you can travel with almost no liquids at all. Reusable travel containers are worth the investment if you fly regularly. Buy a set of good quality silicone or plastic bottles in various sizes, all 3.4 ounces or smaller. Label them clearly so you know what's in each bottle. Before each trip, fill them with your regular products. After your trip, clean them out and store them for next time. This is more economical than buying travel-sized products repeatedly, and it's better for the environment too. The timing strategy matters more than people realize. Arrive at the airport with enough time that you're not rushed. If you're frantically trying to make your flight, you're more likely to make mistakes at security or to panic when TSA needs to inspect something. Give yourself buffer time. Security screenings are faster when you're calm and organized. Pack your liquids the night before your flight, not the morning of. This gives you time to think clearly about what you actually need and whether it all fits in the quart bag. Morning of packing leads to hasty decisions and forgotten items. Take your time, be methodical, and double-check that everything is properly sized and sealed. Learn from other travelers at security. While you're waiting in line, watch what people ahead of you are doing. See how they remove their quart bags, how they organize their bins, and how quickly they move through. You'll pick up tips just by observing. Notice what causes people to get pulled aside for additional screening, and avoid making those same mistakes. The real insider secret is that breezing through security is mostly about preparation and confidence. When you know you've followed the rules correctly, when your quart bag is easily accessible and properly packed, when you've thought through what you're bringing, you move through security smoothly. TSA agents can tell the difference between someone who's prepared and someone who's winging it. Prepared travelers get through faster with fewer questions and less scrutiny. Money-wise, let's do some math. If you buy a set of reusable travel containers for $20, they'll last for years. Compare that to buying travel-sized products for every trip, which can easily cost $15 to $20 each time. After just 2 trips, the reusable containers have paid for themselves. And that's not even counting the money saved by not having expensive products confiscated at security. Some travelers go minimal and embrace the challenge. They see how few products they can travel with, using hotel amenities and multi-purpose items. A good moisturizer can double as a body lotion. One gentle soap can work for both face and body. This minimalist approach isn't for everyone, but it completely eliminates liquid rule stress. When you're only bringing 3 or 4 small bottles, fitting everything in a quart bag is effortless. The TSA liquid rules might not be permanent, so don't hold your breath for immediate changes. Those new CT scanners being tested at select airports could theoretically detect threats in larger liquid quantities, making the 311 rule obsolete. Several international airports, particularly in Europe, have already eliminated their liquid restrictions thanks to advanced screening technology. Passengers at these airports can bring full-size bottles through security without any issues. But here's the reality for American travelers. The US has hundreds of airports with thousands of security checkpoints. Upgrading all of them to the new technology would cost several $billions. TSA's budget is limited, and there are competing priorities for those funds. Even if the decision was made tomorrow to replace every old scanner with a new CT scanner, the rollout would take a decade or longer. Some major hub airports might get the new equipment within a few years, but smaller regional airports could be waiting much longer. There's also the question of whether removing the liquid restriction entirely makes sense from a security perspective. Even with better technology, having some limitations reduces risk and speeds up screening in other ways. TSA might decide to increase the allowed amount rather than eliminate the rule entirely. Maybe the limit goes from 3.4 ounces to 8 ounces, or maybe the quart bag requirement disappears but individual container limits remain. Nobody knows for sure what the future holds. What this means for you right now is simple. Plan on following the 311 rule for the foreseeable future. Don't pack for your upcoming trip assuming the rules will have changed. Don't count on your particular airport having the new scanners. Prepare as if the current rules will be in effect, and if you get a pleasant surprise at the airport because they've relaxed restrictions, consider it a bonus. International travel adds another layer of complexity. If you're flying from the US to another country, you'll face the 311 rule on your departure. If that country has different rules, you'll face those on your return trip. Some countries are stricter than the US, some are more relaxed. Research the specific requirements for anywhere you're traveling and pack to meet the most restrictive standards you'll encounter. Better to be over-prepared than to lose items at a security checkpoint overseas. The environmental impact of the liquid rules bothers some travelers. All those mini bottles create plastic waste. All those confiscated items in the trash bins represent resources wasted. If this concerns you, the solid product strategy becomes even more appealing. Shampoo bars, solid deodorant, and reusable containers all reduce your environmental footprint. Some eco-conscious travelers have turned this into an opportunity to minimize waste rather than seeing it as just an inconvenience. One thing is certain, these rules aren't going to become more relaxed without significant technological upgrades. If anything, security measures tend to tighten over time rather than loosen. Every few years, there's a new threat or incident that leads to additional restrictions rather than fewer restrictions. So learning to work within the current system is a valuable skill that will serve you for years to come. Let's bring this all together with a final checklist. Before your next flight, do these things. First, identify every liquid item you want to bring, including makeup and any non-obvious liquids. Second, make sure each container is 3.4 ounces or smaller. Third, verify that everything fits in a single quart-sized clear bag. Fourth, pack that bag in an easily accessible location in your carry-on. Fifth, arrive at the airport with enough time that you're not rushed through security. And sixth, declare any exempt items like medications to TSA at the start of screening. If you forget everything else from this guide, remember this one thing. The container size is what matters, not how full it is. That single concept prevents more confiscations than anything else. A half-empty full-size bottle is still over the limit. An empty full-size bottle is still over the limit. Only the container size matters. You're now more prepared than 90% of travelers heading to the airport. You understand not just what the rules are, but why they exist. You know the common mistakes and how to avoid them. You've learned the exemptions that can make your life easier. You've picked up strategies that frequent flyers use to make the process smoother. Most importantly, you understand that these rules, while sometimes annoying, are manageable with a bit of planning. Your first time through airport security doesn't have to be stressful. You don't have to be the person holding up the line or watching expensive products get thrown away. You can breeze through the checkpoint confidently, knowing you've done everything right. And once you've done it successfully once, every future trip becomes easier. You'll develop your own system, your own packing routine, your own collection of travel-sized products that work for you. The TSA liquid rules seem intimidating from a distance, But up close, they're just a simple set of guidelines designed to keep everyone safe. 3.4 ounces per container, 1 quart-sized bag, 1 bag per person. That's it. Everything else is details and strategies to make those core rules work for your specific situation. You've got this. Pack smart, arrive early, stay calm, and enjoy your trip. The liquid rules are just one tiny part of the adventure ahead.